This is ACT Math Prep video number 2. You'll be doing 11 questions in 8 minutes, so you'll need to move quickly. We're going to begin with number 13 and then go through 23. And number 39, we're going to skip number 19, so you might want to go circle that one right now. Someone in the room should set a timer or a phone for 8 minutes, and then pause this video. At the conclusion of those 8 minutes, start the video up again to see the solutions. Number 13, we are going to be mixing in a chemistry lab, and we've got 3 different components or ingredients, X, Y, and Z, and they need to be in a ratio of 2 to 5 to 7. What that means is there's some common multiple that when you reduce it, puts it in a ratio of 2 to 5 and 5 to 7. So I'm going to throw that common multiple in there. I don't know that they're actually 2 of X and 5 of Y. There could actually be 20 of X and 50 of Y with a common multiple of 10, but I know it reduces to 2 to 5. Probably best not to call this X since we have a solution X, so let's call that, I don't know, L. What I know is when I mix it together, I have 250 milliliters. When I combine like terms, I get 14L is equal to 250. Dividing both sides by 14 yields approximately 17.86. This is not the answer because I would need to know how many milliliters of ingredient Y. Y is 5 times that constant multiple, so I need to multiply this by 5, and that'll give me an answer of about 89.29. The correct answer for number 13 then is C. Again, you should mark yours wrong, but then make the corrections and show the work over here so you know what the right answer should be. But at the end, when we're all done, we hope to get you a score and see how you did. Number 14, which of the following numbers is the greatest? Don't waste time going and doing them all on your calculator. We know 2 to the third is 8. The square root of 121 is 11. And the absolute value of 15 is 15. And we also know that 3 squared is 9. This is the only one that you might want to go use a calculator for. And when you do for that, you get 14. So what we have for that one is C is the greatest. Number 15 can be done in multiple ways, but again, this is all about, in order to finish, you have to really understand what you're doing, or you're going to spend time and waste time. So what I'm going to do with this one is I know I have a function and I've been given 3 points on it. These are basically x comma y. When I look at these answers, I see that there's a linear relationship. These are all in the form y equals mx plus b, which you need to be very, very familiar with. To review, that m stands for the slope of the line. The slope of the line is its steepness, and it's determined by rise over run, or you might want to even think of that as change in y over change in x, or equivalently y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You need to be very familiar with that. And this stands for the y-intercept. Recall the y-intercept is where a line hits the y-axis, right here, and its x-coordinate is always 0, and so 0b, this one would be like 0, 3. Having said that, let's go back. We know we have a linear function. My slope is either going to be 2 or 4, so let's go determine what it is. All I need to do is figure out rise over run, or change in y over change in x. It's easiest just to kind of go like this. It's going up 4 over 2. And 4 over 2 yields a slope of 2. So what I know is I'm not C, and it's not E. Next, I need to know the y-intercept. What's going to happen here at 0? Well, this one you can do with common sense. It's obviously not D, because D is what happens at 1. I get a 149. And I've got a linear decrease. I'm going down 4 for every 2, down 4 for every 2, which means I go down 2 for every 1. And it's going to send me down to 147. But the other ones were so obviously wrong. Again, you can do that with a formulaic approach as well, but that wastes time. best to just have a good understanding of that y equals mx plus b form of a line. Number 16, we need to factor, aka unfoil this quadratic trinomial. So I need to figure out what two, when I FOIL them, will yield 3x squared minus x minus 2. Probably best approach for this is to just, because these numbers are so small, best just to use trial and error. I can only lead in a 3x or an x. Fortunately, that doesn't outrule any of these. I can end in a 2 and a 1, but I'm going to have a positive and a negative because of that minus. So really, you kind of just need to mess around with it. And in doing so, what you should do is always kind of check that O and that I. Minus 3x plus 2x does give me minus 1x. So you're going to have to spend a little time trying to unfoil that. D would be the correct answer. 3x plus 2 is a factor of that polynomial. Number 17, I wouldn't go to your calculator. A couple things. You're going to be slower, and you're going to run the risk of doing s squared like this. You use your calculator. Make sure you put parentheses around that negative number that's being squared, or your calculator will not do it correctly. Best to just do it by hand, I think. T minus s would be 6 minus negative 3, which is really 6 plus 3. Minus 4t, when t is 6, would be minus 24. And again, move quickly. Don't go use a calculator unless you really think it's going to make you faster. Straight across addition and subtraction yields 3 for this one. 27 minus 24. And again, we're moving quickly because you need to move quickly through these pre-algebra questions. Number 18. Distributive property. We're going to multiply that x into every term. When we're done doing that, we'll multiply the negative 2 into every term, and then we'll combine all like terms. So x times x squared is x cubed, x times 8x is 8x squared, x times 5 is 5x, minus 2x squared, and then a minus 16x when I multiply that negative 2 into everything, and a minus 10. Combining my like terms, x cubed, done, 8x squared, oops, I forgot the squared on that one, minus 2x squared gives me plus 6x squared. And keep an eye on these answers as you go. I'm now down to one of the other, those either C or E. Positive 5 minus 16 is minus 11x, and then I have minus 10 at the tail end of that for C. Number 20. Jeremy's father's age is 11 less than Jeremy's age squared. So what I need to do is take Jeremy's age, and Jeremy's father is 11 less, so I'll remove 11s from it, Jeremy's age squared. His father's 53. So what that means is, I set it equal to 53. I solve that by adding 11 to both sides, giving me j squared has to equal 64. I take the square root of both sides. Technically, I could get plus or minus 8, but it's somebody's age, so negative 8 doesn't make sense in this situation. Be careful you don't go circle A, because the question says how many years older is Jeremy's father, who we were told was 53, than Jeremy, who we just found to be 8. So we need to find the difference between those, and that'll give us 45 for letter C. Number 19 was skipped because it's an intermediate algebra question. Number 21, which of these is a solution? Whenever you have two equal ratios, you cross multiply. X times 2x plus 3 has to equal 3 times 3, which is 9. We distribute the x in, giving us 2x squared plus 3x is equal to 9. At this point, if we didn't know what to do, we could always go plug these in and see which one gives us 9 when we plug it in. But the intent on this one is to recognize that it's a quadratic equation, which needs to get set equal to 0 in order to solve it. We can either use quadratic formula or factoring, and factoring is much quicker, so I'm going to use that method. If it factors, that's always the quickest way. What multiplies to equal 9 at the end? We can use 3's or a 9 and a 1. I'm going to try it with a 3. Remember, I'm trying to create a positive 3x in the middle, so I'm going to need the plus 3 out there. So I have the plus 6x, and then I have the minus 3x in the middle. If two things multiply to equal 0, one or the other has to be 0. So what would make the factor of 2x minus 3 equal to 0? Well, I'd have to add 3 and divide by 2. So x equals 3 halves is a solution. So E is correct. Also a solution would be negative 3, but that's not available in my answers. Number 22, when I'm solving and I have fractions like this, the best thing to do is to get rid of them. And to get rid of that 5 over 2, let's multiply everything through by 2. Let's double the left-hand side and double the right-hand side. When I double the right-hand side, I get rid of that 2 on the bottom. Makes it a lot easier. Distributing gives me 12x plus 48 is equal to 15x minus 25. I then need to get the variable on one side, so I'm moving the smaller over. I get 48 is equal to 3x minus 25. I add 25 to both sides, giving 73 is equal to 3x. Dividing both sides by 3 gives me answer E, 73 thirds. Number 23, a number is subtracted from 7, and then this difference is divided by 4. This quotient, which is quotient means answer after you've divided, is translates into an equal sign, 8 less than, so we're going to remove 8 from the square of that number. So when I decode that one, I get letter B for my answer. I know it says the end on there, but there's one more. Which of the following graphs represents this inequality? So whatever, excuse me, x is, it has to be squeezed between 2 and 5. It can't be 2, has to be bigger than 2, but it can be 5, because that says less than or equal to. So that means I'm going to have an open dot on 2, closed on 5, and x is smashed between them. The graph that corresponds to that inequality is letter B. So that's the end of this video. Have a good one.